Southeastern Bow Hunter Podcast.
Going on, y'all. Welcome to another episode of Southeastern Bow Hunter Podcast. This one is one that I have been trying to be able to get scheduled up for a while, but my schedule and the guest schedule really was, especially being deer season, was kind of didn't line up, but it finally did. And we are having none other than Mr. Curt Geier from the Working Class Bow Hunter on this podcast episode. Curt has had an amazing season. He said it himself in a few other podcasts, and dude, he's literally said that this is his best season. And after we talk about it a little bit, I think you guys are going to agree that he has had one hell of a season this year. So before we get into it, obviously, got to throw all the partners out there for you guys. First and foremost, obviously the stuff that I'm wearing, you can see it. Working Class Bow Hunter. We have been partnered with them now for I want to say it's been like about a month, and awesome set of guys. If you haven't listened to their podcast, which I'm sure we're going to talk about in this episode, please go listen to it. It's extremely entertaining. You do learn some stuff, and I mean it makes me laugh every single episode. So I think you guys will really enjoy it. If you want to help rep those guys, go to workingclassbowhunter.com and look at all of the new merch that they've got and use the code SEBH15 to save 15% on your entire order. Next up is going to be the boutique. I have some plans for this off season. All right. So we're getting a little close to the end of deer season this year. It's kind of depressing, but I've got some stuff that I've got some prospects that seem to be working out quite nicely. And when you've got big deer you're hunting, if you're filming or you're just on social media or you just want to have a nice set of arrows to look at, the boutique is the place to go. Michael Stonebreaker makes the absolute best arrow wraps in the business, and he can literally make you anything that you want. You send him a design or you tell him, hey, this is what I'm thinking. He'll make it for you, and it always comes out perfect. So go to theboutiquellc.com. Look at everything that he has that is like a print that he has put out, or you can set a custom order and you can get any type of wrap that you want made. And you can use the code SEBHP at checkout to get free shipping. Next up is going to be Osseo gear. Osseo gear is crucial for me in the woods, helps me stay hidden from the deer. And it's extremely quiet, extremely well made, American made. And it is just a great camo company. Joe Miles is an absolute beast. He's a legend in my opinion, and very, very blessed to be able to work with Joe and the whole company. Everybody at the company is amazing. So go over to osseogear.com and look at everything that they have out there. It's getting really cold. So for you guys who maybe want to try it out, Christmas is coming up. You want to get, maybe your son, if you've got a son or your daughter or a friend or family member, whoever it is, a new set of, or a new, I guess, full set of camo, go to Osseo Gear and look at everything that they've got. And when you do that at the checkout, use the code SEBH to save 15%. Next up is going to be Summit Tree Stands. Dude, I wish I could tell you guys a story right now. I don't have enough time in the intro. I don't want to make it a 20-minute intro, right? But my Summit climber has been working flawlessly. Best climber I've ever used, the Dual Threat Pro SD. Summit makes a top-notch quality product, and I'm honestly blown away at how nice it is compared to the stuff I used to use. It is extremely comfortable, quiet, very easy to pack in, and honestly, I know a lot of people are getting away from the climber game, but I am still a full advocate for it. I think the climbers are extremely useful. Maybe Curt and I end up talking about this in the episode. I know he's mentioned it a few times that he's not really a climber guy, but look, I love climbers. All right. Summit is by far, in my opinion, the best. They're the leader in the climber tree stand category. They also have hang-on sticks, safety harnesses, which every single person who is listening to this podcast and every single person who is not listening to this podcast, every single person who goes into the woods that is trying to get elevated in a tree and kill a deer, a bear, a pig, whatever it is, wear your harness. Please wear your harness. We have had too many people fall out of trees this year, and it's ridiculous because a $100 harness can save your life. So I'm sure most of us have a family to go home to, and that harness will allow you to do so in the event that something happens, if there's a failure or you slip out of your tree stand or whatever it is. So look, just go to summitstands.com and check out everything that they've got in every single category. Once you pick out all you want, whether it's a Christmas gift or stuff for yourself, or you need to upgrade some stuff, or you need accessories, whatever it is, once you get to checkout, use the code SEBH15 and that will save you 15%. Next up is going to be Scout Tech. My Scout Techs have been working great. I will say this, I did have a camera go down yesterday. I don't know why. I have been having some issues with that one specific camera, but every time that's ever happened, Ryan and the boys are always there to help take care of whatever problems I have. I know with buddies of mine that have used Scout Tech, it's the same exact thing if they had any problems. Just a great company, great set of people, awesome family. And they're in Kansas right now at the time of recording this. So hopefully they are able to get a giant on the ground. So go check out Scout Tech. Go to scouttech.com. They've got a new camera coming. There is unlimited data coming. There's app changes coming. There's a lot of big things happening. Next up is going to be Ace Hardware and Social Circle. Shout out to my boy Hunter, my boy John, my boy Mark. Those are the Bowtechs that work up there and help us in the local community get our stuff completely dialed. They supply all different types of products. I know they just started carrying the beast heads. So if you want to try those out, they've got them. They've got the dead meats, the mega meats. They have everything that you need. They've got all the new bows, the new Hoyts, the new Matthews. I know they're going to get the new primes once they drop. The new Bowtechs are going to be there. The new elites are there. Curt shoots an elite and he loves it. So you want to shoot something like that, go to Ace Hardware and Social Circle and go give them a shot. All right, you won't be disappointed. Next up is going to be Bergie Bowsmith. Now, if you want a guy who is going to go as deep as he possibly can down the rabbit hole of your bow to get you completely tuned and have you shooting as best as you possibly can with your specific bow, Bergie Bowsmith is the way to go. And if you already have someone who does that for you, but you want to get some other stuff online, still go to bergiebowsmith.com. He is a dealer for a bunch of big name companies. And sorry, my daughter was calling me on this, so I might have to go handle that. But anyway, Bergie is a dealer for a lot of different companies. So go to bergiebowsmith.com, look at everything that he has to offer, and use the code SEBH10 at checkout to save you 10%. Next up is going to be VPA. VPA is an amazing fixed blade broadhead company. I've been partnered with them now for about a year, a little over a year. Amazing products, super sharp out of the package, great manufacturing, American made, lifetime warranty. Now a lot of companies, I don't think any other companies give a lifetime warranty. That's a huge thing. So go to vparchery.com, check out everything that they have, over 70 different broadheads, and use the code SEBH10 to save you 10%. Next up is going to be Dialed Archery. Now, Curt and them at Working Class have been working with Dialed for years. I think they were the very first podcast to get Scott on there and talk about Dialed, and I was excited about it then, excited about it now. My Arxos has been working flawlessly. It is the best built sight that I've ever used, and they actually just came out, I think, a month or two ago with the new sight called the Proof. It's basically the Arxos, but upgraded. So go to Dialed Archery, look at everything that they have to offer on there, and I'm telling you, man, you will not be disappointed with Dialed. Next up is going to be Camo Dust. What's crazy is I really am surprised when I put that episode out. I thought that it was going to get a lot more traction than it did. I don't know what was going on with that. Maybe it's because in that whole thing, we're talking about how you can fool a deer's nose, and sometimes we said you could beat a deer's nose. I will tell you guys, I was hunting last night, and when I did, one of the bucks that I'm trying to kill actually did show up. I didn't get a shot. He was 35 yards away. There was branches in the way, and he never gave me any shot. But it was cool to see him. And the crazy thing was, I had used Camo Dust. The wind was actually, I thought it was going to be a crosswind. It ended up blowing directly to where these deer were. Never got spooked. Never smelled me. Never even acted like I was there. So if you ask me, that's a testament to how well it works. So go to camodust.com and look at all the different varieties of sizes of packs you can buy. I recommend you get the 6-pack because it will last you an entire deer season, but that's up to you. Last but not least is going to be Full Force Hunting Products. My buddy Dan out of Michigan. just a great dude, great company, great products. They got feed, they've got mineral, they've got scent ropes, they've got scents. Dan just covers everything when it comes down to pulling deer to you and trying your best to get that big buck you're after right there under you. So go check him out. Yeah, man, that's all the partners. Really excited for this episode with Curt. As you guys know, every single one, I always have to just drop this and give everything to God. Without him, none of this would be possible. There has been like I honestly I really felt extremely close to him yesterday when all this stuff was happening in the tree. Even before that, there's been a lot of stuff going on, right? Like we all have things in our lives that are happening, and Jesus is the best medicine for that. No one who nobody goes to see a doctor if they're not sick, right? Well, he's the best doctor. Okay. And we all have things in our lives that we can change. All of us have things we can make better, do better, stop doing if it's bad for us. So just lean on him, and I promise you, your life will change, and you will feel better, you will be happier, and you will start noticing him everywhere. I mean, truly, I literally notice everything that he does, and I'm extremely grateful. I know that you will be too. Okay, so that's the whole intro. Curt, I believe, is waiting on us, and this is going to be a very, very good episode. I cannot wait for you guys to listen to it. It's always fun getting him on and just talking, hanging out, shooting the shit for a while. So look, intro's over. Let's get into it with Curt Geier from Working Class Bowhunter. We got the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. 200 is what I've been calling you to everybody. Dude, all right. So for those who don't know and who just didn't even read the title, we got Mr. Curt Geier from Working Class Bowhunter in here. And as you guys know, Curt has been on a couple of times, and I've gotten to be what I consider good friends with Curt. I can text him anytime, send him any funny photo I get, and I don't get ignored. Right. Yeah. And I've been a long time listener of the podcast, and dude, I'm just so happy for you. The things that have been going on, like how your season went, how big you guys have gotten. It's awesome. So what's been going on? Well, I know y'all are super busy. What have you been up to?
Man, lately a lot of hunting. I appreciate all the kind words, by the way. And also I didn't call myself Mr. 200.
No, I made that.
But I appreciate you. You're the first person to call me that. But thank you. But yeah, it's we've been busy. We've been hunting. We've been working on some video stuff on the back end. We've been going at it hard, hunting hard since August, really. And then so I'm tagged out. I don't have any hunts, at least through now and Christmas time. So now it's getting caught up on business, all the stuff that slipped through the cracks, getting ready for trade show season, new merch, building our store, changing things on the website, all the just end of the year and updates and stuff we want to do that we're finally trying to hustle through, I guess. So
yeah. Well, I mean, you guys have had some big things going, man. I mean, for people that listen to this, they know that we partnered up, and I've been every episode wearing at least one of the hats or one of the shirts or whatever. Mm-hmm. And the fact that y'all were able to not, because I know I'm not the only one that sort of happened with. Seeing that and being a part of that is awesome. Then seeing the Kill Bottle whiskey thing, which that was a great episode, by the way.
Thanks.
I'm definitely planning on buying a bottle if I get it in time.
It's good stuff. It should ship to you. I think it does. It's all.
Yeah. I think I looked it up. I think Georgia does actually, get however that works. So like we do get whiskey. Yeah. I'd be shocked if we didn't.
I believe so. Yeah. I know Michigan, we have a lot of supporters in Michigan that does not ship to Michigan, but if you're in Wisconsin, you can go to the distillery and buy a bottle. They have it.
So what is the reason for that? I mean, is it just like some law that there is or what?
Yep. Just legalities with distribution. It's out of our hands. I think everybody thinks that it's like up to us.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, we can't distribute it legally. There's a whole thing that's beyond my head that Ledger Rock Distillery, who makes the whiskey, they are knowledgeable in that, but it goes through, in order to distribute online, we have to basically pay a company called Passion Spirits. And so they're the ones who handle shipping and the legality, and they take their cut and all that. So it's complicated. It's above my head. We just like the whiskey, and we're proud to like make a whiskey brought to you by grown by farmers and hunters and marketed by hunters and drank by hunters and for hunters. So
Yeah. That for me was the coolest thing because like I've said for years that, and I might sound like a cheap ass here, but one time I was in Florida and I found a bottle of Evan Williams Realtree Edition.
yeah.
I still have the bottle. I can't find it anywhere. I looked it up. You can't even buy it anymore.
Yeah,
And
we
for
have
me,
a
I
bottle
was
here.
like,
It's in like a plastic bottle.
yeah, that's it. And it was
Yeah.
good. And I'm look, I was working today at a funny enough alcohol distribution company, and I was telling the guy like he was talking about these wines and they had the most expensive stuff, the most expensive whiskey, and then the cheap stuff. And I'm like, look, man, I'm a cheap bitch. You give me a $12 bottle of whiskey, I'm happy. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like
Well, then you'll really like this whiskey because it's not cheap whiskey. It's
yeah,
we wanted the pricer to be even cheaper. But by the time everybody takes their cut of it, but it's a top quality product.
and what is the price for people who might want to get it?
Oh, I can't remember. With shipping, I'm not sure, but it's right around that $65 bottle
That's
ish.
not bad.
It's not terrible. No, um, I wouldn't want it to be any more expensive. I'll tell you that. So
I
it's
got
enough.
you.
It's expensive enough that it matches the product, but it like makes you respect it.
Yeah.
And but yeah, so
Well, and when you finish it, you get a badass bottle. I think that,
yeah,
and especially seeing the WCB logo at the top, it's like, dude, that's
yeah.
just cool as
But
shit.
actually, here's a fun story, real quick. We when I shot my big buck, we drank a bottle, and everybody that was there, we all signed it and stuff. So, but
Oh,
that's
dude, that's awesome.
the label.
Hell yeah. That's so cool, dude. All right,
Yeah,
so you said big buck. Now I was gonna wait a little bit, but you really have. You said it yourself that you have had the best season ever,
yeah.
and
Whitetail season of my life, yeah, big time.
you went on a tear, dude, and
Yeah.
you killed a 200-inch deer.
hmm Yeah, I can't believe it.
I mean, what is that like? Like I can't
It's
even imagine.
it doesn't feel real, you know. First of all, my season did not feel like it was going to be the best season ever. You know, normally I'm fortunate enough that I get on a deer and end up killing a pretty good buck. Like by the end of October, almost every year I kill a decent buck, or mature buck at least by the end of October. This year I didn't even have like so. I passed a lot of good deer, but I put hours in, man. I mean, we got. It seemed like we had a lot of like cold fronts come in, a lot of good just weather systems move in that made you want to hunt or made it worth it to hunt more than normal for being early October. But for the record, I absolutely busted my ass all the way until it broke, you know. And I say when it broke, when finally you get your break and getting some opportunity at the deer you're hunting. And so yeah, I basically went from hustling, and then from the 10th of November through the 14th, I was tagged out. So
That's
when it's good, it's good. And but I have a real feeling that like bow hunting, there's like a give and take to it. And you know, I gave my time and I was
Mhm.
able to take some success out of it too, you know. But so yeah, for the record, I was kind of like, man, what the hell is going on? Like I'm making all the right moves, I'm trying to be punctual, and it's just not
Yeah.
working. And then finally it started happening.
See, that gives me hope because I'm still sitting here saying that. Like, if you remember earlier this summer, I had that one deer named Trike. I was on
Mhm.
him every single day he was there, and I haven't seen him in over a month. Right. So,
Yeah.
don't know what happened to him. Posted on Facebook, and you know how Facebook is. I shouldn't have done it. Right. I should not have done it. But I posted up a picture of him. Was like, has anybody killed this deer? And a couple people were like, "Oh, that's a 5.5-year-old deer," and I'm just kind of looking at it like, "Well, yeah, that's not what I was asking though." And
Mhm.
one dude said that he shot him before church that day, and I was like, "I was like, dude, well, if you did, can you send me a photo? You know, because I want to compare and make sure." Never heard back from him, so I mean, he could still be alive, but
Yeah.
that was a kick in the nuts. And then I get this new spot and it's got that deer that I sent you a picture of last night that we both think is probably in the 30s.
Mhm.
And I hunted there last night and saw that 10 point that I did not expect to see. And granted, he's not like a giant, but it was kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, this really could just change any second,
Mhm.
right?
It
So,
literally just takes minutes, and your
yeah,
season can go from being like, damn, I've been hustling to whoa, best season ever. That's that's the motivating thing for me is like I've hunted a lot of years bow hunting and I've had tough seasons. Obviously, we all have, but I've had seasons where it seems tough and then it breaks, and then that's what keeps you hustling.
Yep.
Because if you gave up as soon as it started getting tough and or you mentally started to get tired, then you just never get to like power through to have that success, which is so much greater
Hmm.
when you've kind of been going through it than if it was just like you went out and shot one, you know? So,
Yeah. When I even said too, like beginning of season, I was telling my buddies, I'm like, dude, I almost hope I don't kill him opening day. Talking about trike. I was like, because yeah, it'd be cool, but then I don't get to chase him all year. And I only saw him
yeah,
once, which did I tell you the story about that?
I think so, but
Where I had my bow on the
brain at
ground
this
and he
point,
was,
it's like, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I think
Yeah.
we
So that
texted back and
was,
forth about
dude, have you, all right. So personal question, but have you ever wanted to take your harness off and just swan dive off a tree stand?
it. I, yeah, there's been times for sure where I'm just
Yeah.
like, I'm cashing in, but, um, yeah, I totally get it. But it's like, I get what you're saying. You wouldn't want to kill that deer opening day, but also too, like sometimes it just happens that way.
Yeah.
And, and you know this, and I'm everybody listening probably knows this. You hunt hard enough for so many years and days and hours and months back to back that sometimes it just happens easy, and take it when it happens easy because
Oh,
the
for
next
sure.
time it's not going to happen that easy.
Yeah.
So it's one of them things. So I get it what you're saying, because the fun and the fulfillment is in the adventure and the storyline that you build with yourself. And I get that. That's the best thing about it. That's what made my season so sweet. But man, sometimes when they just show up and you don't have that much time in and it's fresh in the season, first couple days,
Yeah.
you got to take that opportunity as well, because it don't happen like that all the time.
Yeah. Well, and that, I think, like how you were saying, you went into your season not, really feeling like it was going to be the best or anything. I went into it feeling the exact opposite. I
Mhm.
was saying all over, yeah, I'm going to kill him opening day. And then here we are. So
Yeah.
I probably jinxed myself. But all right, I want to get back to, take me to the beginning of your season. What were you seeing? What were you feeling about? Like, what were you thinking? Did you know about this giant buck? Because didn't you
So
killed a buck before this one, right?
yeah, and I feel bad for him because he kind of just gets overshadowed. He's actually a bigger looking framed deer than my bigger deer.
Really?
Yeah, and he's a deer I was real familiar with actually. I called him the big eight, which is like how original, right? And then this year he became a nine. But
Yeah.
this is a deer that shit would have been. I have sheds from him. A year and a half of shed. So I got last year's set, and then I believe it's a chewed up antler from the year prior, I think.
Mhm.
And I've known him. I actually drew back on him and let down in 2021. Um, and I had bought my own farm. 2021 or 22? What year was that?
You
In
got your farm?
22. In 22, I drew back on him and let down,
Okay.
because I was hunting another deer on my own personal farm that I had bought that was also a big 8 pointer, but a touch bigger. And I ended up shooting that deer, which tagged me out for that season. So that deer automatically, hopefully, was going to make it. And then he made it. Last year, he was on the shoot list because he was a mature deer last year. And I maybe seen him once or twice on the hoof, got some truck in pictures, but it's like he kind of just did something else for a bit, found his
Mhm.
sheds, which was awesome. And then this year, and mind you, I killed two mature deer in that area last year. So I felt like
Yeah.
I created a void. So then this year he became more frequent. I had some trail cam photos of him and he became a nine. And then legitimately I saw him opening day and standing corn at 30 yards, couldn't shoot him because he's in standing corn. Like I heard crunching and I'm like on that I'm in this like kind of just a weird shaped field in this like point. And I got my loopholes. I'm looking through the standing corn. I can see him head bobbing up with a cob of corn
Mm.
in his mouth. And I'm like, shit, he's 30 yards from me right now. And I can't do anything about it. Um, then honestly, no pictures of him for a while, a handful of pictures of him, but then like no sightings. And then he just went like missing. I'm like, he either died or he dipped out or something. And anyway, I ended up catching up with him and shot him on November 10th, I think. So got on film. It's an awesome hunt. So shot him on the 10th, and he's just a big framey nine. I mean,
Yeah.
Just a big 9. I got him right behind me, actually, if you want me to pull him up. But he looks, frame-wise, he's technically bigger looking than my other buck.
That's so crazy how that
But my
happened.
other buck, you got to remember, is 160s class frame with 42 inches of kickers.
Which is insane in itself.
It's crazy. You know, a lot of like Ross Bigger, who is our Mr. 200 normally, he has 3 200-inch deer, and most of those deer are like 180, 190 frame deer
Yeah.
with junk that push them over 200. So they have the stature of what you'd expect a 200-inch deer to have. This deer's got the stature of a 160 with all the character, which I'll take it. Whatever gets them to 200, I'll take it.
Yeah, right.
One sec.
All right. So for those just listening, Curt is grabbing his first buck that he shot, which I'm very excited to see.
Yeah, so this is the 9.
Mm.
How do you show him off? So he's just a big framey guy.
Jeez, dude.
He's 160 and 6/8
Mm.
as a
It looks
clean.
a lot like that buck I sent you a picture of last night, just about twice as big.
Yeah, he's big. He's I can't remember what his beams are. Actually, you know what? I have it right here. Oh, fuck that is. I had this sheet in here somewhere, but he's big beam, big frame, wide, good tines, good mass, good brows, just a stud. I just sent his teeth out to have him aged. I think he's at least 6.5. I'm not sure, but looking at pictures of him in 22, I'm like, man, he looks 5 there. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what he'll be, but he's a great buck.
What's with that black tape on the?
So this is the taxidermist. This yellow one's the taxidermist tracking tag, so they know it left the shop.
Oh, okay.
And then the black tape is my resident tag, but I just tape it up so it doesn't come off.
Oh, okay.
So I just do that because people are watching our every move, it seems like, and if you tape the fucking shit out of it, it can't come off, and nobody can say shit, and it prevents people from I don't know, just reading it, the tag.
Yeah.
So the tag's buried underneath about half a roll of electrical tape. That's just something I do when traveling or transporting the deer, and you always know where your tag is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as big as you guys have gotten, that's really not surprising that you're kind of under the microscope now.
Yeah, it's stupid.
I mean, you've got guys, which it's a little crazy because, you know, the whole CJ Alexander thing, the dude, nobody knew who that kid was. And then he goes and poaches that 235-inch typical. And now, because he had the need to go, and I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole, but he wanted to go and try to get famous over it. And he got famous, but not for the right reasons.
Well, that dude's obviously a fucking mouth breather. That guy was dumb.
Yeah, dude. I talked to him when all of the controversy last year started, and I was trying to get him on the podcast and was actually going to defend him because when I talked to him, he seemed legit. But then I listened back to the Hunter podcast episode. I listened to the Hunter's Advantage stuff, and I started thinking about it. I was like, well, wait a minute, dude. You know, earlier you said that, you know, you didn't have your phone yet. When you said that when you shot this deer, you called your buddy or whatever. It's like, well, what'd you do? Send a pigeon? I mean, like,
yeah,
what's going on?
So
yeah, that whole thing. God.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to you. So you shoot that giant 160, and then in a span of 4 days, you shot your first 200. What was the story on that, dude? Because I mean,
so I didn't hunt. So I killed that buck, the 9, and I didn't go hunting. I had some friends in town. We call it the middle of the map hunt camp.
Okay.
So I hung out with the kids because I had been hunting so hard. I just kind of soaked in some family time, and then was like, man, I'm gonna go hunting tonight. Things are looking good. The weather was nice, like overcast type sit. But I had a couple pictures of the big one. I had one last year, but like it was so irregular that I didn't think about it. But honestly, I did a hang and hunt in the spot to hunt on a north wind where I knew this deer could be. But I'll be honest, man, like I odds of like pulling it off in my head mentally were low. I thought I was gonna, if I was gonna shoot a deer, I thought it'd be a different deer, which I actually I did see on that sit, and not this buck. I did not think I would see this buck and kill this buck, but yeah, I went in. I did I did a hanging hunt, sat an afternoon, left it, and then the next day I came in, or not the next day, the next time I went to sit it, I had a pretty good like entry exit off an edge and slipped in there, and honestly saw that other deer that I thought I would kill like right away. I got in about 1 o'clock, and he was with a doe and worked off. And like really long story short, because I have a WCB episode coming on this. I rattled looking for that other deer, and I hear crunching. It was windy, so it wasn't like I heard it right away. It kind of got behind me and around me a little bit. I actually don't even know where he for sure came from. And I looked down and put my binos up, and I can see flyers coming off the side. And I'm like, oh shit.
Boy.
So he's down in the like honeysuckle. I put everything up. I grunt, throw a little snort wheeze, just subtle. I don't even think he heard it because of the wind.
Mhm.
And I have this all on film.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, let's tickle the antlers. So I have like that custom set of carved rattling antler sheds.
Yeah.
Tickle them together and look up. Like I'm looking around for the other deer too at the same time, because you just never know where they're going to come from. Especially it's windy. I can't hear. So
Mhm.
I'm tickling the antlers. I'm looking this way, and I look up and hear this deer comes fast up the hill. And I'm like, oh shit. You can see me. I'm like trying to put the antlers back up on the hook. I'm in a saddle, grab my bow, and this deer actually split where the other deer went and where I'm at, and went downwind, and I was able to shoot him at 17 yards and double lunged him and watched him die.
Jeez, man.
Yeah, watch him
17.
fall.
What's that like? I mean, internally, because when I saw that 10 yesterday, I was getting a bit nervous, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
he's maybe at most 120-inch deer.
Yeah.
A 200-inch deer at 17 yards. I mean, what is that like? Like, how would
So
you describe it?
I'll tell you this. I had limited photos of this buck. And I'll be honest, like, I'm not telling the whole story. I mean, it's all legal beagle, but like we just talked about, I'm under the microscope.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm I mean, I'm definitely, why would you give up everything that you did and know about a deer in an area because somebody else is gonna fucking use it against you or something? That's how I feel sometimes. But
Yeah.
had some trail cam pictures of them, and I actually had a non-cellular stagnant cam that I checked. I don't know how many days before. Um, the time, it has a software malfunction, so the time and date is wrong on it. So I had to do like math to figure out what day it was. But I
Yeah.
have pictures of this deer in velvet and hardhorned. And when I checked the cam, by my math, it was like 4 days before, like middle of the day, this deer was there. And there's one picture where you can see his bases and all his junk. And I send it to the chat group that we have with the podcast. And Austin Chandler looked at it and he goes, dude, that deer is probably 190s. And I'm like, what? 190s? So I'm like, well, he goes, well, he calls me. He's like, well, look at him, dude. Look at all that junk. He's probably 190s, man. I'm like, fuck, maybe. So our buddy Bucky is a measurer, Boone and Crockett, Pope and Young panel measure.
Mhm.
I sent him the photo, and he fills out a virtual score sheet. So on like Pope and Young and Boone and Crockett's website, you can get these score sheets, and it's like it does the math for you. So he just like hypothetically plugged in what he thought the deer would go, and he calls me, and he's like sends me the number. He had it over 200, and I'm like, you're out of your mind. He's like, well, Curt, look at this, and he kind of breaks it down. He goes, this is what I'm giving him for this, and he was only 8 inches off.
Wow.
And I was like, holy shit, like maybe it is 200 inches, but
Yeah.
I thought high 80s, 90s. And so I shot the deer, watched him die, which is crazy, a really crazy feeling. And I called Austin back. He was the last person I talked to. Tried to call Lee back. He was the person I talked to before. And then I was hanging out with Rachel because she was tagged out here at the studio. And I
Yeah.
told her my game plan was before I left. So I call her back. And without even thinking about it, I call her. I'm like, I just shot a 200-inch deer. And she's like, holy shit, you're kidding. And whatever. And yeah. So Austin came and helped me recover him. I got permission from the landowner. And we're looking at this deer. And I'm like, he's somewhere between 140 and 200. Do not know how big he is. And
It's
yeah,
a
he
huge
went.
jump, dude.
Yeah, he actually here I can, if you want to nerd out, I can read some of the stats off.
Yeah.
I got the score sheet penned right here. Give me a sec. Sorry, I'm moving around a lot.
200-inch deer. Unbelievable. Gosh. For those of y'all who haven't seen this deer, go to their Instagram and look at it because it's a monster. I don't
I
even
got
know.
him sitting behind me. I'll show him to you on this.
Oh, okay. You can hear me. I was about to say, I don't know if Kirk can hear me, but
Yeah, he's sitting right behind me.
I wanted to ask you that, but I wasn't sure if he was going to be at the taxidermist or what y'all's thing is with that.
So our taxidermist is in Iowa and
Oh,
we're in Illinois.
yeah.
And we do have permission from the DNR officer because we're in a non-CWD county or zone, however they deem it.
Mhm.
So we can take him over there, the DNR officer said, but this is like the deer this year. I called Sam Gaylord from Old Barn. I'm like, dude, will you come over and cape these how you want? Because he's gonna mount them and just do it. So I don't have to do any dancing around or explaining moving
Yeah,
this deer. He's like, I'm on my way, dude. So this deer has not left my possession since
good.
I
Because
shot him.
as well as I do, when somebody shoots a deer like that, rumors start flying, fake stories come up. People really, for some reason, I don't
Oh, I've
understand.
already heard. They're great to hear. I've already heard a handful. Uh, so he is 161. So actually, I greened him in the back of the truck that night with just like soft tape, and it's awkward. Myself, Andy Bushak, and Lee Herr measured him together, and we had him at like 202 and some change.
Mhm.
Well, I went back and cable taped him with Bucky, and we came up with 161 and 5/8 as a typical frame. And he has um, 42 inches of abnormal.
Jesus.
So that puts him 203 and 5/8 gross, and he nets 191 and 4/8.
Mm.
That's a net, but he's 203 and 5/8. Um, his right antler has 12 and 4/8 of abnormals. His left antler has 29 inches and 4/8, 42
Jesus,
inches
man.
even of kickers and stickers. And it's all base points and stuff, which is kind of wild. But here, I'll show you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm like bouncing around. Show and tell.
You're good, man. It's for a 200-inch deer. There's nothing.
Yeah, he's just kickers and stickers.
Yeah.
So he's just junk everywhere.
Holy shit.
But big frame, he's pretty
Yeah.
framey. Good beam length. He's got a bunch of hidden junk in the back. He's got this one that hides the kickers.
Mm.
So yeah, man,
Dude,
very
that's so
fortunate.
crazy.
Hard to believe. I did not think he'd go that big. I thought he'd be high 80s,
Yeah.
is what I thought. But
I'll tell you this. In the 3 years, almost 3 years I've been doing this podcast, that's only the second 200-inch deer that has been on the podcast in video form. I had a Huffsbuck on, I think the first or second time. I think the second time he came on. And beautiful deer. And if Dustin's listening, still an awesome deer. But that buck right there is so much character.
yeah, he's cool, man.
Gosh.
It's I have some people like that deer went 200. I'm like, no, I get it because he looks 160s
Yeah.
frame, but he's all base points, and it's one of those things too. It's like it was hard to get good photos of him to show him off. Like I almost wonder if we should have done night photos, but you
Yeah.
see him like this, but people don't realize like how long all them points actually are.
Mhm.
Like, these kicker points here, they're a full hand length,
Jesus.
and it's hard to see,
Yeah.
Well, there you
Did
go. You
you
can kind of see. There
did
you
you
go.
weigh his rack?
No, I didn't weigh it.
Okay.
It's heavy.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's cool, man.
Dude. Man, because what's so funny is like, so obviously, um, I've been listening to you guys for years, and I've always been hearing about like Austin and Ross and them killing 200s. I've been waiting for you or one of the other boys to do it. And then when it finally came out, how close was it to the Geier Buck anniversary?
3 days from 20 years.
Wow. That's insane. So for those who don't know, can you explain what the Geier Buck is?
Yeah, I want to say it's a deer my dad shot in 2004 when I was 14. I'm 34 now. He killed it in November 17th, 2004 with a bow, a compound bow. And it's just a giant. Like it's a mainframe 8-pointer with just junk. So he's That deer goes 191 and 3/8 or something like that as a mainframe 8-pointer with kickers. And this deer has 25 scoreable points.
Mm.
My dad's buck has 15 scoreable points. So, but the difference between my buck and my dad's buck, like my buck fits inside of the Geier buck.
Yeah, because
Like
his was
that,
wide, like really wide.
The stature of that deer is like breathtaking. Anytime somebody walks in, they look at all the mounts. That's the first deer everybody points out. Like, what deer is that? Like,
I believe it.
Saying so, he's got like an iconic structure to it. We've kind of turned that buck into like an icon to remember my old man who passed away in 2021. So it's just been the biggest deer he shot. That deer is like it's a family heirloom for me. So much so that I have the original mount. I have a replica on a shoulder mount. I have a replica European mount, and I have it scanned backed up with Classic Racks Company. So if somebody tries to fuck me in any way and somehow take the Geier family heirloom of the Geier buck, I'll just have 20 of them printed. And
that's wild. I think you need to go full circle and get a full body mount with a
yeah, maybe one day, but for now, I mean, Sam Gaylord personally mounted the replica, and we used a cape from a buck that I shot early season one year, like October 8th. So it's like big, heavy, mature buck with nice short hair, and the mount is insane. So
is there any plans to, and I think I threw this idea at you, but have you thought of maybe making a shirt that has like your dad's deer and your deer? Because you made a Geier buck shirt. I've got one upstairs that I wear all the time. But
yeah, we haven't talked about it yet. We maybe talked about doing some stuff with this buck, with just different designs. I might hit up Dustin DeTilio and see if he wants to do some stuff, because he did some stuff with the buck I shot last year, which I called Floppy.
Yeah,
he actually did some shirts and hats with Floppy on it, and he sent me some and did a cool charcoal sketch. I got it framed at the house, and so I don't know. I might see if he wants to do anything cool with this deer for me. Obviously pay him if he'll let me, and then. Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting a couple replicas made. Ross wanted one at Club 200, which is kind of an honorable phone call to get from Ross. And and also too, fun fact, when I shot this deer, we came back to the studio and everyone was partying. It was one of the best nights of my life, honest. And Ross, everybody guessed, like, what do you think he'll measure? What do you think he'll measure? And Ross and Bucky were the only ones who called him over 200. And Ross looks at me and goes, I think once you start adding up all them kickers and stickers, you're going to shit yourself. You might be playing with a magic number. And I'm like, nah, maybe, but no, I don't think so. But he was right.
God, dude, that's so cool. You're making me want to come to Illinois even more, even though I know there's not a 200 around every corner. It's still like unreal.
I've been plotting hard for a long time, and I'll tell you, I mean, maybe I've seen one other one. Since I was
you're also in the state where they had the 327-inch Brewster buck. So I mean, anything can happen there. Now, I'm not trying to have people go up to Illinois and hunt. There's plenty of people that go do that already, right? But
yeah,
being from Illinois,
from the outside looking in, it's like, man, they're 320-inch deer and Mel Johnson and this, and I killed this deer. It can happen here. It can happen in Iowa. It can happen in parts of Wisconsin. It can happen anywhere in the Midwest. But I'm telling you, like, maybe I've seen one other 200, but I don't think people understand how much I hunt and how hard I hunt. And I've been doing it since I was 13 obsessively, and I'm 34 now, and I've killed one.
I mean, shit, dude, I've known you for 4 years now. And when we originally planned on getting you on the podcast, that was 3 months ago. And there was scheduling issues on my end. And then once I freed up a bit, I was like, all right, Curt, what do you think about this? And you're like, oh man, I can't, I'm gonna be hunting. And I'm like, okay, well, what about this day? He's like, no, I'm still gonna be hunting. I'm like, okay, well, the next day, no, man, I'm still gonna be hunting. I'm like, God dang, dude.
Yeah.
But I mean,
blow everything off. Yeah.
You put in the work and you earned it. So
thanks, man.
Clearly being in there as much as you can pays off. I mean, people say it all the time, but even
to a point.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to blow it out, right?
Yeah.
But if you're smart and you get in good access and all of that, I mean, I feel like that's sort of the magic, the magic combination, right? Because something I've been asking guests, especially guys, like yourself, Joe Miles, what I feel like I'm listening to things that everyone's saying on like these podcasts, right? I listen to stuff you say. Listen to stuff Joe says. I listen to the hunter guys, Hunter's Advantage, all of these different things that I put together, and I try to make it work for down here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, find a rut funnel. Well, I found one. Didn't see it. Didn't see any big bucks. Scrapes. Tried that. Had them on camera. Didn't see them in person. We get to bait here, and I've seen 2 shooters in 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
So for everyone who thinks baiting makes it easier, it doesn't. And it's like, I keep thinking, like going back, like, what am I missing? Right? Like, what is it? And I think I figured it out. It's just time in the stand, going in when it's smart, when it's good, and then being able to be there. So
if you ask me candidly, and maybe this is where you're going, or maybe this is like some of your takeaways, I think, man, just like, yeah, understanding terrain, wind, and entry and exit is key factors. Now, if you're in a spot where your neighbor ignores all that, it makes it hard on you. But if you can, I think that's the 3 basic keys to the recipe. I mean, especially for consistently, especially if you're hunting a piece of private and you're wanting to remain good, you know? So there's some spots I want to hunt that I don't, because the wind sucks in there no matter what the wind's doing, and I can't get in there clean.
yeah.
And maybe I'll try and force it and just Hail Mary it. And I'm not saying I do that a lot, but yeah, you got to just be willing not to hunt spots because you can't get in there and hunt on the outside of it. You know, there's a lot that goes into it. It's all cliche conversation at this point, but yeah, that's my thing. Like, I hunted that spot twice, and that's really all I thought I was going to get out of it, you know?
Yeah. That's crazy. So, okay. So you kill the 200, you're tagged out, and then you killed a 3rd buck, not in Illinois.
So I actually killed a buck in Kentucky in September also.
That's right. That's right. Okay. So, all right, let's backtrack a little bit. We're talking about your season. You killed a buck in Kentucky with small town hunts or small town.
Yeah, our boy Peanut. This is like a last second thing. It was on my birthday. I'm at Lowe's buying a new deep freezer for Labor Day weekend, you know, and I'm like, hell yeah, I gotta get me a new deep freeze. Thank God I did. And then Peanut calls me and he's like, hey man, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm buying a deep freeze. What's up? Hey, we had an opening in camp. You want to come out and hunt? I'm like, well, yeah, you know. So that's a bait state, and I killed one the second night. And nice full velvet whitetail in Kentucky. So that's that story. It was Peanut knows the shit, and my boy put me on one, and I got one. So act like I put in hard work for that one.
What did that buck score too?
Like 130 full velvet.
That's what I thought. Like, I remember seeing the photo. I was like, that's a damn good buck. Had to have 130s. I've gotten somewhat better at being able to score, like, just by a photo, right?
Yeah.
Because I used to see a 110 and be like, oh man, there's a 140. And now it's like, okay, now he's probably like 110, 115 maybe. But
most people are like that though, and that's okay. You know, little buck fever inflates the perception big time.
And then you shoot him and you get ground shrinkage. And you're like, oh,
I'll do it. We've all done it. Yeah, that buck was nice, man. You know, for Central Kentucky-ish. I don't know. Peanut says it'd be Western. What was he calling it? I disagreed with this, how we split it up, but he's from Kentucky. He would know what it's considered. I was telling everybody it was Central Kentucky, which to me it's middle of Kentucky. So,
I mean, that's kind of the same thing.
Central Kentucky, yeah. So that was cool. First time shooting of whitetail and velvet. That buck had like spots down his back, which was kind of neat. It was a cool experience. So, did
you ever figure out why that buck had spots? Because I've seen a few photos this year of that.
It seemed pretty common. I don't remember what it is. From what my understanding, what I've heard from people that hunt like earlier season states, like a lot of southern states, is sometimes you see those when they're kind of like going between their summer and fall coat. Sometimes it'll make them prominent, but mine was like really prominent, and so I'm gonna do like a wall pedestal and wrap the back hide over the back.
It's gonna be sick.
Yeah, something different.
Gosh, that's
way different.
That's so cool. So you went to Kentucky, killed, and then you came here.
Yeah, like 2 weeks later.
Yeah, I remember reaching out to you and being like, dude, you're gonna be in Georgia? What the heck? Why didn't you tell me? Turns out you're like 5-6 hours south of me. So I was like, well, shit, I ain't gonna be able to see you anyway. But
Yeah.
how'd that go? Because you were with the
So
Backwoods Life guys, right?
yeah, Michael Lee invited me down. So Michael and Beth came to the studio, and in the episode, he's like, "Oh, you got to come to Georgia and sweat your balls off." I'm like, "Don't, I will, dude. Don't think I won't." And then also too, it's like starting to get tired of hearing listeners be like, "Oh, you guys don't move around," whatever. Um, what I also like, yeah, I'll try it. So had the opportunity to go down there. It was hot as balls, like high 90s the whole time, and
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I went down, hung out, got the full Southern hospitality experience, shot a doe. Um, Jordan came with me and filmed the Kentucky buck as well. Yeah, man, shot the doe, got her cleaned up that night, put her on ice, and hunted just a few days, and then we split. So it was awesome.
So would you come back to Georgia?
Yeah, dude. Honestly, everybody from Georgia and from the South was kind of like, have fun down there with the bugs and the humidity and the heat and all this shit. And like, oh, yeah, 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 and all this. And I'm just like, all right. And I get down there, I'm like, yeah, we have all that too. I
Yeah,
think I think a lot of them Southern
it's
boys get cocky because they're like, oh, it sucks down here. I'm like, it's the same shit. Like, go
it
hang out
is.
in Illinois in July. It sucks. You know, it's
Yeah,
it's buggy, it's mosquito-y, there's gnats, there's I'm not saying that Georgia doesn't have them, but we have like aggressive gnats that I'm allergic to here in Illinois. Like
really.
my neck will swell up, my tattoos will swell up getting bit by them. Those
Huh.
gnats down there weren't biting, but I don't know, maybe it's just the area we're in. I'm
Yeah.
sure there is whatever those gnats are that are up here that bite, but I was just kind of like, yeah, this it's hot, but like we have hot heat also,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Georgia weather, man, Georgia's weird. Being from Illinois and being there, till I was like 7 or whatever, I remember the seasons. And the only
Hmm.
difference, in my opinion, is that up there, y'all get snow.
Hmm.
Here we get ice. That's the only difference. Summer's
Yeah.
about the same. I think the Yellow Jackets are a little worse down here. I'll say that because
Yeah, it's warmer longer. Yeah.
that, and I hate flying, stinging anything.
Yeah,
So
and I'm not saying it's the same. It's not the same, but it's like
yeah,
we have all these things also. So
yeah,
it's not like you want to talk about something new, you go to Mexico or South Africa. But I think a lot of people I've been fortunate enough in the last 5 years. I've done a lot of really cool shit and a lot of traveling and been to some neat spots and met a lot of great people and got a chance to like get outside my comfort zone outside of the box. So I think a lot of people don't do that. So then they're like, oh, yeah, come out to Pennsylvania and hunt and see how you like it. I'm like, first of all right, but no, too.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to prove anything.
yeah,
Like I'm not going to see anything in PA that's going to completely blow my tits off that I haven't seen somewhere else while hunting.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's because me and some buddies had plans to go to Illinois, and then we changed over to Ohio, probably mainly because I've been seeing so many big deer get killed in Ohio that I'm
bait.
like, well, shit, dude, it's cheaper. Why not?
Yeah,
But
go to Ohio.
I mean, I
Everybody
want
should.
to. The thing is, though,
Everybody
I
should go
have
to
this
Ohio.
weird thing, and I don't know if maybe you felt this way early on, but like, I want to kill a very nice, probably Pope and Young or bigger buck here
Mhm.
before I start going other places. Because if I go to like Ohio or Illinois and kill something like that, yeah, that's great. That's awesome. Super
Mhm.
happy, whatever. In the back of my mind, though, I'm gonna be like, well, hey, you could do it here, couldn't do it in Georgia. You know, I mean, has that ever
Yeah.
been a thing for you, or am I just too much in my head about it?
No, no, I get what you're saying, but that's why you go to other places, man.
True,
You know,
true.
I don't, I go to Wyoming to shoot a mule deer because I can't shoot one in Illinois.
Well, I mean, that's different though.
Yeah, but
'Cause
if I want to go kill 150, I'm not going to the panhandle
Georgia.
of Florida.
Yeah,
You
that
know
is
what I'm
true.
saying?
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm not. I know that happens there. Whatever. Um, and that's maybe not an exact analogy, but it's like yeah, you just got to roll with the punches, dude. If you roll to Illinois and a 165 runs through, you go to Ohio and a 180 rolls through.
shoot
Yeah,
it.
yeah, dude. Yeah, it's. I get what you're saying for sure.
Yeah,
But what you're gonna do with that mindset is cut yourself short of other experiences.
yeah,
You're gonna come back home and hustle.
true.
So if you go to take a trip to Ohio to hunt, fucking spill the corn, baby, and let's hunt. You
And just
know?
to verify, it is illegal to have a spotlight and a crossbow that you borrowed from your buddy in Ohio.
That's what I'm hearing.
Oh, okay. I just wasn't sure. I mean,
That's
you're
what I'm
closer
hearing.
there than me.
Yeah, I know my name starts with a C, but it's not fucking CJ.
Oh man, dude, I really need to stop. Every episode, I feel like I rag on that kid, but
Fuck him, dude. Rag on him. That's my opinion.
yeah, I
Sorry for the
it just
foul
pisses
language,
me
but
off.
I don't like that shit.
So,
That guy
so you
robbed
went
from all hunters around the country, man.
do what?
Personally, that guy robbed from all hunters around the
Oh,
country.
I
You
know.
know?
I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. I've done
Yeah,
episodes on it. I don't
yeah.
want to get
Moving on.
started there.
Moving
Anyway,
on.
so before all this, before you started killing whitetails and your first 200 and all that, earlier was it in the summertime? The whole crew went to Africa.
Yeah. We went. Everybody went a different week, so we didn't all go together. Jordan, who was our intern at the time, we've hired him as our, you know what his title be. He's a WCB video guy. He
Mhm.
was there for 5 weeks straight, and then
God dang.
who went first? Doug went first. No, wait. Doug went first. Eric went. Um, I was there for 2 weeks. Austin came with. Our buddy Chris J came with. A bunch of people went. Jacob from Victory Drive podcast also went. Whole crew had a whole bunch of people and shared camp and filmed and all that. And Jordan filmed me the whole time over there, and we just had a good time, man. So yeah, we went out late August.
I got you. Where are these videos, man? I've been waiting and waiting to see like where these hunting videos are. And have you guys dropped any?
No,
Why?
no, we're working on it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We're gonna so we just had a meeting about it today. We ordered a bunch of new computers and all this stuff. So um we didn't want to really like launch Africa stuff in the middle of whitetail season.
True.
And we're a podcast primarily, so we're not gonna do a semi-live series and
Yeah.
just launch all these hunts. So it'll probably be we're probably gonna launch these videos more like a traditional type hunting show would, where you start seeing them like midsummer where people are starting to get excited about hunting again
Got it.
and launch them as like episodal. But that doesn't mean that we're not gonna tease some and show some of the content beforehand. So
Okay. I was gonna say, like, you're gonna make me wait a year to see that 200 go down.
I'll give you a sneak peek when we get done this podcast.
Okay.
I'll try and screen share with you and show you what clips I have on my computer. But
Okay. Because
it's
man, I'm
yeah,
so ate up with that. Like, because down here we got Seek One and Lee just killed, what was it, like his third or fourth 200. And he's put out both his Georgia episodes, and I'm just waiting for that one video to drop because it's like 2 hours long. And
yeah. See, that's what those guys do. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
we're video guys second, and so it's not like we launch so much content on a daily that or on a weekly
mhm.
that we're busy with that. And I get those guys it's different, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But for us, it's like it's all the video stuff is supplemental.
yeah,
It's not primary for us. It's not where we like make our money. So
yeah. It's just exciting though, man, because like getting to see, I think one thing that, and I was gonna try to do this some, but the season obviously didn't pan out the way I'd hoped, and the equipment and stuff. But one thing I've felt like with certain podcasts, not saying y'all's is like this, right? But that's because I know y'all.
mhm.
But certain podcasts, they'll sit there and tell a story about a deer, and the whole time I'm like, God, I wish I could see the video of this, you know. And
Yeah,
then you guys are saying like, okay, we're working on the video, it's coming, all this other stuff. I feel like it's kind of bridging the gap where you're like, okay, you hear the story, but then you get to see the story. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Mhm.
So I know how busy you guys are. That's why I haven't been like, hey Curt, where's the video? Then the next week, hey Curt, where's the video at?
Yeah. And
You know
it's
what
not
I'm
like
saying?
if I said we're working on it, that's actually a lie. We're not working on the video. Like we're working on other stuff. Like it's
Yeah.
there. Like we're planning. We're starting to chat about it. And I don't know. We might not do what I just said. We might change it up, but
Mhm.
um, we'll see. I don't know yet for sure.
I'm just hyped, man. That's all it is.
No,
I'm
I
so
think it's
hyped to
cool.
see it.
Yeah, I think it's cool. You want to see it for sure. Yeah, we're brainstorming it all.
I
It will
got
be
you.
out, but we didn't want to like. I don't know. We're not trying to do this semi-live thing.
Yeah.
The thing is, dude, our audio numbers to our video numbers is so drastically so different that
Really?
Oh yeah, I mean, like, just our YouTube's not great. Like, doesn't do. We
Yeah,
don't put any energy into our YouTube. Like, it's there. We put a little bit, but now we're just videoing our podcast because we do video on Spotify, and that's
true.
Spotify and Apple is where everything's at for us. So, um, but
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, I've kind of noticed the same thing. Like I'll drop something on Spotify and it'll do great, and then I'll check the Apple stuff and it's looking great. Check the YouTube stuff and it's like 20 views, and I'm like, well,
yeah,
how am I getting 500 listens on this episode but 20 views on YouTube? It makes no sense.
yeah. I do not even worry about it. It's just
Yeah,
what it is.
I got spoiled though because one video I did last year with T-Bone got 3,000 views,
Hmm.
which was crazy, and I was like, oh, dude, it's finally coming. Then the next one was like 50. And I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, well, what the
and
hell?
podcasts. Honestly, I like video podcasts, but
Yeah.
unless you're like a meat eater or somebody where you have like the YouTube following there first, nobody cares about your video podcast on YouTube. And without sounding too negative, we don't put our energy as hard into the YouTube thing because I care more about the podcast side of things than I do anything else. That's
Yeah.
where we always have. I mean, we're 10 years in, and that's where our numbers are at on it. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, whatever you guys are doing, keep doing it because it's clearly working.
no, thanks,
But
man. We
going
just
back to
got
the
our energy
season.
focused where we got it, where it's working. I'm not saying we don't have it at zero on YouTube because we put videos there and shit
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Just not.
I mean, the presence is there, but it's not it's like you just said. If you take your YouTube presence and your podcast presence, it's totally different.
Yeah, I don't even like tell people, oh yeah, go to our YouTube. That's not a thing you'll hear me say.
Yeah. I think I have that in the outro, but I recorded that 2 years ago, so I honestly don't even remember.
Yeah, and I guess
Um,
I probably have, and maybe I probably should
yeah.
probably promote it more, but I don't care. So
I don't think y'all need to unless you start doing like weird little game shows or some shit where it's like, how many shots can Doug take if he can't get the score right? Or you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Just
maybe that's what we need to do. I don't know.
yeah. I mean, I'd watch it, but
Yeah,
I'm a little biased. So
yeah. Well, we'd have one viewer. We'll brainstorm that as a team.
it would be me. I'd be
Yeah,
the one viewer.
yeah. I don't know.
Oh,
Stuff like that would be fun, but I just yeah, we'll see.
yeah.
We got some stuff up our sleeve that we're working on. I just one thing at a time. So
Yeah, of course. Okay, so back to the season. You killed a third deer at the end of the season, or most recently, I should say, your most recent buck.
yeah,
Um,
be number 4 for the season. Yeah.
four. Yeah, okay. So you got the velvet buck, the 160, the deer that turned you into Mr. 200, and
Mhm.
then this next deer. What's the story on that? Because I did
Very
listen to it, and it was actually pretty interesting.
is very similar to my Kentucky buck, honestly. Um, my buddy was in camp in Missouri, Joe Humphreys, and he was out. Joe Humphreys and Daryl from Big Time were out with Blake Garrett in Missouri, and they had two guys that were supposed to come in camp but couldn't make it. And I basically, I don't know, I didn't even expect him to call me, but Joe calls me on a Thursday morning. He goes, "What are you doing now through Sunday?" And I'm like, "Well, we got like a big recording day. We got to record coming into Thanksgiving and get through the holidays, and so we can not have to record on Thanksgiving." And he's
Mhm.
like, "Oh, hey, you want to come into Missouri and kill a deer with a rifle?" And he's like, "I know you're not a big rifle guy, but like, look at this as a vacation and come out and hang out with us, and we'll have a good time." I'm like, "That actually sounds pretty rad. Let me double check things." I'm like, "Yeah, I'll be on my way. I got to record tonight. I'm gonna leave tomorrow, and I'll pack up head that way." So buy my tag and license and all that stuff on the way down. Get there late, change, take Joe's rifle. Blake's like, "All right, let's shoot whatever you like. That works. We're gonna get you in a field or some standing beans. I think you'll see some deer." And I don't know. I'm a guest.
Yeah.
So my boys once again put me on. So I'm not saying I had skill involved in this shit or nothing.
Yeah.
And then I went in and saw a good 10. I'm like texting the guys. I'm like, "All right, there's a 10 out here. I think I like them. Does Blake give me the thumbs up?" He's like, "Yeah, if you like them, shoot them," and dumped them. And that was the story. And it's fast and it seems kind of lame. And I loved it. Blake did all the hard work on that. He knew the spot, set me up. Joe let me use his rifle. He knew it was sighted in. So it was a gimme. I'll take those though. It's like
So
going back to the give and take of hunting. So sometimes I'll take the easy ones.
yeah, I mean it. My thing with it is, how long has it been since you killed a deer with a gun? A whitetail.
A
Let's say
whitetail. I just had this conversation with somebody. It might have been Kevin Vistison. I think 2011 was the
So
last.
13 years.
Yep. I think 2011 was the last whitetail I've killed with a gun.
Yeah.
I've killed a mule deer with a gun. I've killed an elk with a gun.
I mean, that's what makes it interesting to me, because the whole thing is working class bow hunter, right?
Mhm.
And I think it's cool as shit. Now, let me ask you this. I know you went coos deer hunting. That's technically a whitetail.
Oh,
You throw that in there?
yeah, it's not a whitetail though.
It's not. Okay. That's how I look at it. But I just
When you see one of them things, it's not a white. It technically is a whitetail,
Mhm.
but I have that coos deer mounted here, and you look at that compared to the other ones, you're like, what the hell is that thing? It's
Like,
it's
is that your
not
first
really a
buck first?
whitetail, but yeah, it's not really a whitetail, but it is.
Yeah.
But when you go out there and hunt it, it's much different than shooting one over a field in the Midwest.
Oh, 100%.
I
Well,
I
and see,
enjoyed the shit out of it. I thought it was great. That's my third sit in a row that I killed a buck on. Literally killed the 9, killed the 200, killed that buck in Missouri the next time I went hunting, and it was great. I had an awesome time. It was like a vacation. Kind of rolled down there all fat and happy, and gun go there. I sat in like the most gun hunter stand ever. It was
did you
like
have little Debbie's with you?
I didn't. That's the only thing I didn't have.
Damn it.
But I'm sitting up there and just it kind of proved my point, like why I don't rifle hunt or
Mhm.
gun hunt at home. Um, I'm not saying that I won't ever. I probably will with my
Yeah.
kids gun hunt, but I'm sitting over the field. I'm like, all I got to do is see one in this field and it's dead.
Yeah.
And then that buck came out. I'm like, all right, now I just got to decide if I want to shoot him. I don't
Yeah.
know where in the field I'm going to shoot him. So that was nice to kind of have that like relaxed feel. And I think my
Mhm.
bow hunting experience, especially after coming off killing this deer
Yeah.
to this buck, I was so stone cold calm and just calculated that maybe if I wouldn't have done that, I probably would have been a little more nervous and maybe
Mhm.
whiffed. I don't know. But going from that to putting a rifle in my hand and having like this like relaxed feel of like showing up, cool, bam, where's my beer? Let's have a party. It was a great experience. I'm forever grateful to Joe and Blake and Daryl. They're awesome people. That was like the best part is like going to Blake's dad's house and skinning that deer and quartering it up and having some cold beers and looking at the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Or Dale Earnhardt posters. Dale Earnhardt, not Jr.
Yeah.
Uh, Old posters from the 90s and
Oh, dude, those are the best.
bikini
That
posters from the 90s. It was awesome.
God, that sounds like such a fun time. I
Yeah.
grew up
That
literally.
was the real experience of that trip for me was like hanging with the boys, doing like classic deer camp in the garage,
Yeah.
having a couple cold beers, cutting up meat.
So you just gave me some ideas for down here, because I've been wanting to do, I guess you could say, renovations, maybe change the look of it a little bit. And I don't know how I never thought of getting a couple of Dale Senior posters up in here or something. Because I mean, I
Mhm.
grew up on that guy. And then when he
Mhm.
died, it all went downhill, right?
Yeah.
But that's actually not a bad idea.
Speaking of things on the wall, I got to point something out right now.
Oh God.
You have that picture of that deer behind you above that piano on the wall.
What deer? The
That,
muley back here? Or right
yeah.
there?
Yep. We have that same picture here at the studio.
No shit.
So this is where it gets crazy. I grew up with that painting in my home growing up as a kid in the 90s. My grandparents had one and it became a thing. Every time my mom and my grandmother went thrifting,
Yeah.
they'd find one of those and buy it out of like kind of humor and
Yeah.
they would give it to somebody else in the family. Well, Jacob Johnson, the host of the Victory Drive podcast underneath the WCB umbrella, comes in the studio and he goes, "No shit, I got this same painting." So, and I just noticed it on your wall. And so there must be 5 million of those things floating around
Yeah.
the tree because, yeah,
Yep. That old muley. That's,
it's
you
so
know what's funny?
random.
I always forget it's there.
And it's not even a big one.
Yeah, I mean that's basically the mule deer version of this deer over here,
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
It's such
wild.
a random photo because it's like just the head of the deer. It's not
Mhm.
even a big deer. But it's everywhere. Same frame, everything.
That's so crazy.
So I'll have to look
Well,
up the
hey,
origin
maybe it's
of
good
that.
luck now.
Rub it, maybe. I don't know.
I've never thought of it. It'd probably disintegrate. I bet that thing is super old.
Yeah. But
I
yeah,
might
we
try it.
legitimately have one hanging in the kitchen at our studio.
That's wild.
Mhm.
Um, dang, I was thinking about. Oh, that's right. So talking about the WCB umbrella, right?
Mhm.
Um, you guys have really, really expanded, right? You've got Victory Drive, and then now you've got Jordan Jones hunting the Mason Dixon, which
Yep.
awesome, dude. Thank you for hooking us up because
Mhm.
getting to go on his podcast, having him come on here. Now he's on. I know he was on the fall with Aaron Blicey. He was on the Southern Outdoorsman. Jordan seems to really be making a name for himself, dude. And the things he says has helped me really just go hunt. I mean, the
Yeah.
kid, I say kid, he's older than me, but he
Yeah. Killer,
he
dude.
he knows his shit. I
He knows
mean,
his shit. By the way, I don't want to tackling tacos and another podcast under our umbrella. I don't want to forget giving
oh, is
them a
that is
shout
that
out.
the fishing one?
Yep, fishing and
Okay,
tacos. But
I got you.
Jordan is the newest addition to the WCB umbrella, which everybody we have when we did the podcast thing under WCB, we wanted to be able to have the WCB stamp of like approval. Like, yeah, they fit our style in their own way. They're
Mm-hmm.
their own show, but they're all listenable. And Tagline Tacos is super unique. Those guys kill it. Jacob's doing an absolute stellar job with Victory Drive. And Jordan has full blown kind of watched how they operate on their shows and how we kind of do it because we don't micromanage them. We
Yeah,
trust them to do their show and represent us. And Jordan talking about the South and talking about fresh and not having a ton of podcast experience, that motherfucker's killing it.
oh, I know.
And the thing is, what I like about Jordan is he's cut from the same cloth as us, and he's a killer. That he
Yep.
knows how to kill, and he's loyal. So he's got the perfect storm. You know, he's confident in what he says because he uses it and kills shit. And that is one thing about WCB podcasts. At whatever niche our shows are in, they talk the talk and walk the walk.
Yep.
Jacob, Army veteran, him and his wife shoot guns a lot. They go rifle hunting a lot. Tackling tacos, they go fishing a lot. They eat tacos a lot. It's best, you know. And then Jordan's a killer. And
Yeah.
he's a killer in the South, and he does it. So
Yeah,
there's
he's
so
a
many
very
podcasts who
good.
don't do what they talk about, and we make sure that's like primary.
Yeah, he's a very good representative of like Southern culture and
Mm-hmm.
just the South in general when it comes to hunting,
Yeah.
and or really just the South in general, honestly. Because
Yeah.
I remember like talking with him and stuff, and when we did his episode, I was kind of like not really feeling him out, right? But I was like, okay, well, I think he had what like 12 episodes out or something at that time. And so I was curious. I'm like, is he going to be a natural at it, or is it going to be sort of like we have to walk along? Dude, it was instant like that, just like I knew the guy my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as we were done with the episode, I told him off air, I was like, Jordan, you got it. I was like, you literally
Yeah.
have that thing that like, Kurt and the boys have, or
Mm-hmm.
other podcasts that are really, really successful have is you just know how to do this. And he was
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, man, that's because I'm in sales. And I'm like, I know that, but like to really mold that over from sales to this, it's a big thing because there's people. Hell, I've got a good buddy of mine who started a podcast the same time I started mine, and it lasted a month.
Mm-hmm.
And he came on here, was a co-host for like a month, stopped doing it, and then he calls me a lot, like a couple months ago. Was like, hey man, I'm thinking about getting back into it. I'm like, well, dude, if you're gonna do it, you have to commit to it. I was
Yeah,
like,
you gotta do it.
you told me that in the very beginning. You said if you're gonna do this, one episode a week. If for whatever reason you can't do one, it better be a damn good reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's true. I mean that is the one thing. Every time I get like started on scheduling stuff, and then the day comes I'm supposed to do it, and if I feel like not, I don't want to do it. I swear I hear you in the back of my head like, "Hey, pussy, do it," and I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like, "Okay, Kurt," and then I come
Yeah.
down here and it works. So getting to do that
Yeah,
with
well, so many
Jordan,
times you talk to podcasts that are like, yeah, we haven't been an episode in like a few months, but they're like, what the fuck are you doing?
yeah.
Why
I
are you
mean, I
doing
kind
it?
of get it. I'll admit, like when I first started, the first year, all of deer season, I put maybe 2 episodes out because I was so focused on that deer season, and I didn't know how to
Yeah, but
balance it.
That's like like as a hunting podcast, that's like the ultimate mistake. I know you know that now, but it's like that's when people are wanting to listen, driving to work while they're thinking about hunting, driving to the stand. I know there are some podcasts that take like seasonal breaks. Like I kind of get that, especially if they're known for something else as well. Like, say they're like a video guy and they do their videos all year and then they maybe do their podcast during hunting season and then shut it off after. Like I totally understand all that. That's a little different, but yeah, like you just got to do it and commit. But yeah, like Jordan's the thing about Jordan, he's a killer. He's passionate about it and he does it. And if you're good at that, it helps that he's charismatic and a good dude. But yeah, if he put all that together, and that's why the podcast has done so well in such little amount of time. And also, the dude FaceTimes me like every 3 days, I swear, with something that he killed. And I'm like, I'll miss one. I'm like, there ain't no way he killed again. I'm like, hey, what's up, dude? And he's like, they'll send me a picture. I'm like, oh, fuck, I didn't think you keep killing down there. And I keep getting FaceTime calls from you, which is great. But yeah, he's killing it, dude. He's doing really good.
He and I had I forget if it was on mine or his, but he said something, or he was asking me, it was on his. He was asking me, he was like, so how do you go and, run the podcast the way you do, get the people on that you do, and you've only got 5 years of experience? And I was like, dude, I'm just honest about it. I was like, I got a funny story. The first time Curt started talking about other podcasts that are talking about hunting and have no idea what they're doing, I wanted to text you right away and be like, are you talking about me? Because if you are, it's okay, but I just want to know. And he's like, nah, man. And he ain't talking about you. He's talking about other ones. Because I mean, I don't know from your perspective, but I feel like the stuff that I'm doing on here, it's just people get to see the growth from it. If you listen to the first episode now, I didn't know shit the first episode. I still don't know shit, but I at least have gotten on better deer than what I was doing 4 or 2 years ago.
Well, it's all in your angle, right? So I think if you're coming across as an educator, but you don't have the knowledge to educate or really like again, it's like cliche, we're talking the talk. You have to also walk the walk for what you say to hold water. Like if I talked about killing deer and I was trying to educate them, this is how I do it. This is how my entry and exit. This is how I hunt terrain. This is how I hunt wind. And I never shot anything ever in 10 years of podcasting. Eventually, I would hope somebody would be like, yo, brother, like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're just repeating shit, it's hard if you don't know or have experience of done things or tried things. It's hard to have a differing opinion with somebody else that also has experience, because how would you know, or how would you know something works or doesn't work if you haven't done it? And that's like, I see so many, and I don't care. I mean, more power to you if you're drawing revenue or you got a listener base. But I personally, if someone's going to talk about shooting deer, I want them to have shot a deer before. And if I'm going to learn from someone on how to hunt a terrain feature, or how to use wind, or how to hunt thermals, and how to hang stands for mature whitetails, they've never done it. I don't want to listen to it because it's bullshit. It's just straight up bullshit. But
it's like regurgitated stuff they've heard.
But it's exactly what it is. It's so obvious. And there's so many podcasts that don't shoot animals or do what they say, whatever. But the thing is, if the angle is I'm interviewing guests to learn and follow me on my journey as a host and do that, that's even better, I think. Because your listener base, a lot of them can learn with you. They can see the progression. I think that's cool. But being arrogant and being like a know-it-all with no backing to it is super silly to me. And there's a ton of them, a ton of those podcasts. And I don't even listen to a lot of them, but it's like, you scroll through TikTok or Instagram and watch podcast clips.
Dude, I know.
And then click the page or go to the dude's host personal page and like, where's the
deer?
Guy's teaching me how to hunt rub lines. And I don't know if he's ever hunted one, and that sucks.
Well,
it sucks more for them at the end of the day than it does the listener, because they know.
If I ever start doing that and you catch wind of it, please
you won't start doing that. That's
give me a metaphorical smack on the back of the head and be like, hey, get your shit together.
No, it's also not my place to do that shit either. I can just vent off what I see and say, but it's like, better. Those guys know too, and
they're just playing the game.
Well, okay, so sorry, I'm taking this down a side quest here, but I did Aaron Blasey's podcast. I don't know, beginning of the summer or something like that. I don't know, over the summer sometime, and he asked me if people think that do I think people think that us at WCB are serious hunters? And I think the reason why he asked that is because we fuck around so much and joke around and have fun, all while at the same time killing deer and talk about what we're doing, but doing it in a way, from my perspective, maybe I'm wrong on this, from my perspective, in a non-preachy way or a non look at us way. I hope we don't come off that way.
No, y'all don't at all.
We fuck
That's
around.
The whole reason you're the only podcast since I started hunting that I still listen to.
No, thanks. Thanks, man. But I guess what I'm getting at is I don't want it just becomes like taking your medicine or your vitamins. You don't, you need to, but you don't want to. And I don't want to ever feel that way. Like, that's why we make so many jokes and we're kind of offensive, like purposely, but also in a very kidding, sarcastic way. We do that stuff to get you through your day and make it fun, because no one wants to be like, here's how you hunt rub lines. This is, you break this rub line down like this. Like, that's all good.
Yeah.
But make it fun, Yeah.
Well, and I mean, being a host that's unhinged, it kind of,
yes, unhinged.
It kind of makes it work. Dude, oh God, that was hilarious. The first time I heard that on the intro, I called up my buddy Brock and was like, dude, have you listened yet? And he's like, no. I'm like, go listen to the intro. Listen to the whole episode, but listen to the intro, which I want to give you credit. So the last episode we did, he asked me to do this. So Brock, this one's for you. But he listened to that episode we did, a year ago. And I asked you, for anybody who's trying to get in the industry, what do you do? And you said, well, if you want to just get a job in the industry, go work at Bass Pro. But if you want to do like what we're doing, you just have to do it. And he listened to that, took that to heart. And now I believe he's supposed to let me know tonight, but he is working on getting a job with, God, I had it right here, On the Road Outdoors as a filmer. So he took what you said and actually applied it and did it. So he wanted me to tell you, thank you for saying that. And
that's cool.
He was hyped, man. He literally called me today and was like, dude, you've got Curt on, right? I was like, yeah. He's like, can you tell him this? I was like, sure. I mean,
yeah, that's cool.
I'll remember if I can. So
yeah, On the Road with like Aaron Lewis and all them guys.
Yeah, I think so.
That's cool. Awesome. They've been on the podcast before.
Oh, really?
Oh
shit.
Yeah, we had Brock Borden.
Yeah, Rock.
Him and Aaron Lewis, and those guys were on years ago.
I was gonna say, how long ago was that? Because
18-ish, high 200s episodes.
Okay, I might have to go back and listen to that, because
I think maybe it's high 300s in there somewhere.
I got you. I'll go back tomorrow or something to see if I can find it and listen to it, because he told me about them and like he told me everything he's gonna get to do and how sick it sounds. And I'm like, dude, he's like, I don't know if I should take it, because he's getting married next month and he didn't know how his fiance was going to take it. And she brought it up and he called me the next day after they talked and was like, dude, you'll never believe what she said. And I was like, well, look, man, you got a good one. It's a good thing you're locking it down. Now go get this job. And
he's got a hustle ahead of him, but that's awesome.
Yeah. So, all right, we've been at it for a little over an hour. But I do want to ask you this one thing that is going to apply to me and everybody else that's listening before we wrap this up. You're married. You have kids. I'm married. I have a kid. How do you, because I have struggled with this a lot this year, how do you balance family life, podcast life, hunting?
You can't.
Okay, well, then we're on the same page, because it has been so difficult. Like, I felt bad, right? I hunted last night. I'd hunted 2 days before that. And I usually only go on the weekends, right? But my wife started going to the gym. My daughter stays at her grandparents' place on Mondays. And so I was like, hey, if you're going to be gone, you don't get home till like 8:00. As long as Tiff is still staying over there, are you cool if I go hunt a little bit? And she was like, yeah, that's fine. I was like, all right, well, I might have a podcast after that too. And she kind of rolled her eyes a little bit. I was like, it's not going to happen like this all the time, but
yeah,
I got to do it. Right. And then we moved it to today. And it worked out obviously, but I mean, is there
Yeah.
any way to try and balance it, or is it just hectic because it's so much all at once?
This is something I've been asking a handful of guesses as of recent. I don't know, since probably midsummer this year, more about life stuff and juggle. Cause young kids, you feel the pressure a little more and just different obligation. Um, so like from my perspective, I waited so long to get into this and be able to try and get to where we could do it full time that I have a hard time saying no to opportunity and no to things we get to go do and no to things that help us put the WCB in different spots to give ourselves more opportunity. Bottom line, though, I got asked this by somebody. They said, "How did you do it?" And basically, if you want it bad enough, you just do whatever you have, and you kind of destroy relationships around you. And that's not the answer people want to hear. And I'm sure somebody else could give you a better, more positive answer that like, oh yeah, well you just got to be this and a family man and do all this. And if you're career focused and passion focused and you're trying to make something out of it to provide for yourself and your family, uh, you will cause turmoil in your life. And that's bottom line. Michael Waddell was sitting in the studio right here and he's like, dude, I'm on my third marriage, and talked about with his kids and shit. And I sat at this bar in our studio after podcast and had heartfelt conversations with a lot of, from an outside perspective, very big deal guys in the industry. And they'll tell you the same thing. It's been a hard, long road, and I've destroyed marriages. I've destroyed relationships. I regret this with my kids. I'm now doing this. And now I know almost universally across the board in the hunting space, because what it takes to put into it to make a little bit of a living, it will almost suck your soul to away. But that being said, that sounds very negative. I'm just
I'm like, oh shit.
It's the best life, but you will always, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. I don't know, brother. It's tough. And I'll tell you, I've fucked up a lot of relationships in my life for my love of hunting.
Yeah.
And all the way back since I was 20 years old and started to have careers and big boy jobs. And I always had the mindset to fault that I'll never let anybody or anything tell me I can't go hunting. And I have lived by that. And it has caused turmoil in my life, big time. But you know what? I'm still going hunting. So
Yeah.
I haven't veered off that much. Is that responsible of me? Probably not.
Well, from everything I can tell, you've been good as a father. I don't know anything about your marriage, but you seem happy. So that's good. So whatever you're doing seems to be working. But just know that if I start having like major issues, I'll probably call you and be like, Curt, okay, what do I do? Help me out here, man.
And here's the thing, I'll tell you in advance, nobody can ever tell you what to do. Or
Yeah.
they can give you advice, but their situation's not going to apply to yours. But I've a lot of the jobs I've had have grown to hate me. And that's why I've kind of forced myself to only work in the hunting industry for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I have got tattoos like I have, and that's why I've built the relationships I've built and have the dedication to hunting and the outdoor industry and the brands we work with.
Mhm.
I don't ever plan on working outside of the hunting space, honestly. I've kind of done that by fault. I've had a lot of great jobs and a lot of great bosses at other jobs, but and I did farm work when I was a kid until I moved on to a different operating job that I had. I would take almost 3 weeks off straight in November and just take unpaid days and fucking deal with it and pick up change to get gas and shit like that. But I'm going hunting.
Yeah.
So
it's worth it in the end.
Maybe, hopefully.
That's crazy, man. Well, look,
Yeah.
dude, I appreciate you coming on. There was a lot more I wanted to cover, but I actually timing.
I see you looking to the side. You got family pulling out. Yeah, I get it, dude.
Yeah. I just got a text saying that Tiff's up waiting for me to put chapstick on her lips because she's got really chapped lips. So
yeah,
daddy John calls now.
I get it, dude. I totally get it, man.
Man. Well, look, before we wrap up here, what can we expect to see from you, the working class bow hunter family? And are you going on any more trips to kill another big buck, or are you pretty much done?
Well, big buck is all in perspective. I might be going to Pennsylvania after Christmas to hunt with Rachel and Andy. They come out here and hunt. I told them that if I tagged out while they're in camp, then I would go to PA and hunt. If the weather's there and it makes sense and I can get away, I'm gonna try and sneak away for 4 or 5 days and hunt. But I don't know. That'd be the last trip for the year. I'm supposed to go to Texas in January and hunt. That I'm gonna do, but other than that, we'll see. I got to secure my belts with the crew here, but
There you go.
I got a pretty good lead right now. I just got to not slack up and let somebody take them from me. So
Awesome, dude. Well, Curt, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Always fun to have you on here. And look, we need to stop doing this once a year shit. We need to do this more because there's still way more things we could talk about. Let everybody know where they can find you, and then we'll wrap this one up.
yeah. By the way, I'm tagged out so I can podcast more. But workingclassbowhunter.com, Apple, Spotify, YouTube if you want. But video podcasts are on Spotify now. Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Awesome. Well, appreciate it, buddy. Thank you.
Thanks, dude.